don't nobody wanna hear, but it's like this the South got something to say. That's all I got to say.
I don't know how many of y'all know Mr. Burton or know what he does or how brilliant he is, but when we first emerged as an organization in this community, he was like a mentor to all of us. Learned a lot from him, especially with the history of our organizations and political standpoints and how important local politics are. I mean, we wouldn't have our foot in some of these doors without him. So we're glad to have you back, sir.
I'm glad to be here, brother.
But like I say, whether you're a Panther or all of us are Garveyites, but either way, you can't move forward unless you know where you've been. So I take the educational part that Mr. Donald Burton brings very seriously. Like I said, he has a library and a museum at home. So a lot of the stuff you hear me saying or a lot of stuff you hear me teaching is stuff I've learned or that he's perfected for me or sharpened my pencil with because how we used to meet with him every week. So Sunday's always been our day. But he's gonna be on board again. I'm Minister of Education with the Panthers. I'm chairman of Garveyites, but I respect my elders, I respect his brain, and I'll be assisting him when it comes to teaching the classes or whatnot. But every member in here needs to know what they stand for. Because if you don't know what you stand for, I don't see how you can agree with what we're doing. So, when it comes to strategic ways to fight this fight, like I said, we're not a racist organization. We're all about using our brains, thinking first, and moving accordingly. So that's one thing I learned from him. How to calm. A lot of people tell me I need to calm down. I think I'm calm right now. I'm way more calm than I used to be because of him. So I'm just gonna step aside and let you really just talk about how you're gonna get all of us on the same page and what you're gonna educate on. What would you feel you would start educating on for the position we're in now by coming together as one organization?
Well, what I see, Brother Nafi, is awesome. I love this. But there will be storms ahead, and you just got to be able to prepare and go through the storm. We had some stuff with us as well, like when we first started the MLK March, we had to be on the street. We were not on the street, we were on the sidewalk. And for 2 years, and then because of the contacts down in City Hall, well, with Betty Bowles, she did step up and got us to where we're in the street. So I'm looking forward to this on January the 20th, the same day that Donald Trump takes office. I think it's going to be some chaos that day. Prayerfully, it won't be here. I'm glad that y'all will be there, and the Garveyites as well, because that's going to give us a lot of people. I will feel more comfortable. I'll feel good about it, because every morning we do the march. When we do the march, I would come to Greenwood early, and I walk the route to see if there's anything suspicious along that route, and then I'd come back, because people are crazy. Right. And you do have some in Greenwood that are that. But the curriculum that I want to go from is called The Road to Freedom. And I just have a whole curriculum of teaching. You hear some of the stuff that y'all have talked about as well, but we will have DVDs with Dr. John Henry Clark. I don't know whether y'all familiar with Dr. John Henry Clark.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all familiar with him?
No.
Okay. Well, I met Dr. Clark.
Yeah.
Yeah, several times. We had an organization called ASCAC years ago. It's called the African Study of Classical African Civilization. So I met Dr. Clark, Dr. Francis Chris Wilson, Dr. Ike Bach, all those brothers and sisters. I met them at the conferences. So they gave a wealth of knowledge. Like I met Dr. Karenga as well with the Kwanzaa celebration. So I have a list of books that we'll be coming from, but also what Brother Knopf was telling y'all about politics. We need someone on city council, county council, and we need you go online and look at who's on city council now, school board. See, y'all probably y'all remember this book? Okay, now they have it online. I have about 15 or 20 of these books over the years. I keep them for a reason. So they would make you sign this even though you hadn't read it. So I never signed it. I was like Frederick Douglass said, agitate. Not get nasty, but agitate, agitate. So these things, you have to go back and look at this stuff because they used to give you more time for as far as being discharged from school for hitting someone with your fist versus your hand. So you got that done so that everybody in this room can run for a school board seat. You don't have to look to see where you're in the county or the city, okay? You can't vote for mayor if you live in the county, okay? That's a crazy idea, but I don't know how it come about. But if you live in the city, you can vote for the mayor, but you can't vote if you live in the county. Who gets a hard copy newspaper? Start getting these newspapers. This is the Index Journal, and I get my Index Journal 3 days a week, paper, and 2 days online because that's how they do it. But in here, I collected all these, and I think it's every Sunday they have how you need to get to know who your people are on the local and state and federal level, who your folks are. So it says how your lawmakers voted. You see right here? It tells everything how they voted. So I keep all this, and then I be trying to, when I get to them, I say, okay, how you feel about this thing? Then most likely someone would lie. And I say, well, are you sure you feel that way, this and that? So if you collect this and have this here, it's there. One person can get a newspaper. I get an English Journal, I get a Greenwood News, and a Columbia newspaper. Just get one. Then if you want to even go further and deeper, you can get New York Times, Washington Post. I'm telling you, it's a whole new world of information that's valid. Then when we come to the television, someone can watch MSNBC, someone can watch Fox. Please watch that because that's where all the lies are going to come on Fox. A bunch of them. And then you got MSNBC, CNN, okay? Those you can get. Just, we all get within your organization and find out how you're going to do that, okay? And then what Greg, you asked about the books. This is the book list. This is the one from Nubian Books. This is the book list. I can give you the number. You got this number. Good thing you're writing it down on paper. Good. It's 678-422-6120. That's Nubian Books in Atlanta. That's well, I get 95% of my books. I still get them from here. This is called Cubalon Images in Tennessee with Yusef Harris.
We just went to, I didn't mean to cut y'all.
That's okay.
But we went to the mountains. We was coming back and rode past 3-step pyramids. I got it, well, I had it in my phone. I had to find it, but me and Muffy recorded that.
Wow.
And I'm like, you can see the trees growing in between all three of them. I'm like, man.
Never miss a moment to get that stuff. See, because with Trump coming in office, they have one agenda. They're going to try to shut down a lot of stuff that's being done. If they can find out what you're doing on the computer, they're coming after with that to control and shut that down. But hard copy stuff, they can't touch because they can't find it. That's when I still have my turntable. I still have my receiver. I got all that stuff, about 800 albums. So they can't find that. But anything that's on that digital, they got you. So be careful with that. And like, I left my phone outside. I left it outside because you don't want them listening. If you put it on silent, I think they say they still can hear and find stuff.
We all turned ours off.
And if you turn it off, I think they still can no location.
Yeah.
So if you got them all in a strategic place where, boom, they're here, and they think you're that place, even if it's outside. Well, they're all outside, but we can't hear. Well, we are meeting. You're meeting. So that would be one way to keep things done. And but the curriculum will be called A Road to Freedom. And it's going to be some good stuff that you'll be learning from. And then you got to teach the kids early. If you don't, like you say, children live what they learn. And, you know, if they got to know where they come from, you know, to know where they're going. So with that, I have, and I watch The Lone Ranger every chance I get. It's a lot of lessons in there on politics, but this is a good book. And if you want to start building your foundation first and go back, this is the brother that can teach Dr. Carter G. Woodson, The Miseducation of the Negro. This is an awesome book. It is so good to read, but you got to stay focused on it. And then Black Indians, real nice book. It just, we everywhere. We're all over. And then the other one I have is called The Black Seminoles. And they were treacherous. They raised hell down in Florida.
I read on them.
Osceola was one of the leaders, and Lafayette one of Lafayette's boys took his girl. And he laid out in the woods for 3 or 4 days, and when he came out, he popped him.
Dang.
And but they beat the hell out of Lafayette in that war. And Lafayette said that he could not hold a Providence that far away from home, and they beat them. And that's the reason then when they did get some help, they ran the Indians and sent them to Oklahoma through the Trail of Tears.
A lot of people don't even realize Black Wall Street. They sent them from Florida to Oklahoma, but that's where how a lot of our people got wealthy.
Right.
They wasn't slaves.
Right.
They were Black Indians that moved over.
They were called the freedmen. They were freedmen, and that was the term. Now, this is a book that you could have gotten in school right here in South Carolina. All this is about history in South Carolina. So one day they were throwing these books out. You were throwing them out because nobody was taking Black history. I got this one, and there's so much stuff in here. Okay, and until you get your library built up, I'd like to have everybody to probably start building a library, because you know, if something happens to mine, which I'm hoping not, I'm trying to find me some fireproof bookcases to therefore keep all that, because it has to be saved some type of way. You can find so much stuff in this book. Okay. Then for the children, Jamaica and the Beanstalk instead of Jack and the Beanstalk. Okay. Same story, but on kids, our kids see themselves in the picture. Our son and daughter, you always put kids in the picture. They live what they learn. So they were in top notch in their class against all those white kids. But this one, Jamaica and the Beanstalk, Bright Eyes, Jamal's Busy Day. And it tells kids that your job is going to school. And this is how you make your money. So for every fairy tale that's out there, there's a book about it. The Other Angel, one called Afrotina and the Three Bears instead of Goldilocks and the Three Bears. So when they see that picture, they look like me. Because when I was in school, it was Sally, Dick, and Jane, C-Spot Run. Blonde hair, blue eyes. That's what was in the book that I read in first grade. Then Columbus with the Pilgrim. You know, we had our little Pilgrim hats on in the 5th and 6th grade and all. Didn't know what I knew now, you know, and thinking, okay, all these treacherous Indians over here, but then I got to reading. Started reading stuff, and then people thought I was crazy. 12th and 11th, 12th grade year, this man got some problems. He crazy. Then I had a new religion and all that, but I was studying. And this is another good book. Brown Eyes, Bright Skin. Bright Eyes, Brown Skin. The Power of Melanin. I got about 3 or 4, maybe 5 good books on melanin and the power that it has with you. We will look at some of that as well. Anybody familiar with Dr. Charles Finch? Okay, yeah, okay, yeah. The twins, yeah, they got a lot of knowledge, and I just want them to disperse that knowledge. They won't do it sometime, but they are full of knowledge, and I'm always on them about that. So this is a good book, the Little Red Riding Hood, but it's about a little girl. Okay, see it in the pictures. This is a whole collection of these by Fred Crump, I think his name, and I think when you call Nubian Books, he can tell you that. Then this Juneteenth, start them early. See, you start them early. And this is the book here that I started reading one morning at 6 o'clock in the morning back in the early 80s. Africa's Gift to America. Anything by Dr. J.A. Rogers, please get it. This brother's dangerous. I mean, good stuff. And I read it from 6 o'clock that morning to 12 midnight. I didn't even go outside that day because I was so into this. So it's so much good stuff in here. He did 60 years of research on the culture and history of our people. All this stuff here, all kind of good stuff. We were everywhere, y'all. That's what they don't want to know. Obama was probably the 8th president that was a person of color. It's like, I got the book at home, it's the 5 Negro presidents, maybe 7. And then you got John Hanson, who's chocolate darker than I am, but he was made George Washington general. And the original 13 colonies, where you look at, that's where he come from with that. And he was the president of those. And so we did everything. We went everywhere and we did everything. When do y'all want to start? And I would like to start at the base and build this house. So when the storm comes, it won't be rocked, okay? It'll be very strong, like the pyramids. There's a brother from Greenwood, Billy Jack's brother, Kamal. He and I are real good friends. He gave me a lot of information. He's been inside the pyramids in Egypt, and it talks about how the red, white, and blue flags, replica of a small plane in there. We knew the speed of gravity and the center of gravity and the speed of light, all that stuff, and how we did all this stuff. You'll learn. We're gonna start with Dr. John Henry Clark with the DVDs, but then you'll see with Dr. Finch. He is a master. Anybody familiar with the book called Egyptian Book of the Dead? He is a master with that book. How he went through that book, Dr. Charles Finch. He was teaching at Morehouse School of Medicine, but I think he may be retired. We're gonna visit that because the cassettes that we're gonna have, well, no VHS that I'm converting to thumb drives and DVDs, back from 85 to 97, Listervelt Middleton. He had this talk show every Sunday that came on for 30 minutes. And for 10 years, I recorded every show. So I'm trying to convert that all over. But we will have all of this here to where it can be passed down. So people would know, why do y'all think so positive about yourself? The power that you have. And like I heard you talking, I heard Brother Greg talking, we got to learn to love each other. And, I tell people all the time, they say, you're so militant. No. I say, Jesus Christ, they say, was militant. I always tell a story about when he went into the synagogue. Yeah, with the whip. It was people outside gambling. He didn't bother them. But he beat the hell out of those inside. So, but I told him, no, I'm not that. Well, you don't like white folks. So I say, no, that's not true either. I'm pro-black, not anti-white. So you give them that, and then, here lately they don't bother me, but I still know what they're capable of doing. So if we got you on city council, we got somebody on county council, somebody on school board, okay, then we got some things going. We got this meeting tonight, y'all all of y'all need to come. Flood the school board means flood city council, flood county council. They will have a stroke.
Oh, yeah.
And then we have the young lady here doing the documentation. Try to write down as much as you can, because if they decide we're going to take your phone, guess what? They can't take that hard copy. You see what I'm saying? Y'all remember the movie for Fahrenheit 451?
Yeah.
Has everybody watched that? Who all have watched Fahrenheit 451? You remember when the white girl was at home listening to music on her turntable, and Michael B. Jordan said, "Lexa, play something for me." At the end, Lexa had his whole history because she was listening to everything he was saying. But she was playing the same song across town that the white girl was on her turntable playing, but they couldn't track that.
That's the same with the AI, these AI robots they got now. They download your characteristics and your interests and stuff you're talking about.
And you got to be so careful with that. So it will be, we have, I think I got it on the 3 levels that we're going to teach from. It's one's like a beginning, then the other one says children of the light, and then the ones who got the light and got to that part of it. And it will be just, it can go, for several months or longer. Really could probably teach for 4 years just from that whole curriculum as far as what we go have. That you could get, basically have a degree in history of our history. But here's the thing also, study their history. Dr. John Henry Clark said, he asked when he was in school, because they told him, he asked, say, with history, he asked the lady, say, you had Puerto Rican history at this. He said, where's the history of black folks? And say, the lady told him, say, son, that doesn't exist. And he started then learning his history and culture. And I think Dr. John Henry Clark probably had 4,000 or 5,000 books when he left here. And he said that the guy told him, son, study your oppressor, study his history. And in studying the oppressor, then you're going to know how to handle him because of what he can do and how he can be a dangerous person.
It's an eye-opener too.
Yeah, it's very eye-opening when you start studying, because
you look at the Bible in scripture, when they talking about certain cultures and paganism or the heathens and Gentiles, and you start looking at those actual pagan rituals, they still doing them today, so you know who that was. I mean, when the Bible speak on them, you can see it now today.
Right, and I'm telling you, study that book called the Bible, study the Quran, study all that stuff, because it's power in there. The Million Man March, the original Million Man March, when they did that, I recorded the whole thing. I got all 8 hours on 2 tapes, I think. And one of the white ladies called in because there were ministers just bashing Farrakhan. And one of the guys, I think his name was Henry Lowndes, he was a minister. And he wound up getting in trouble for embezzling money and something else. And he was going against Farrakhan. But a white lady called in and told one of the guys who was trying to bash him, she said, I just have to disagree with the guy that you were talking to, because she said, I'm a Southern white woman and I've read the Quran and it is a peaceful book to live by. And that shut him down. So read all this stuff.
John Henry Clark, he got a lecture on YouTube called "Don't Throw Out Your Bible."
Right, that's a good one. Is it in its entirety or in bits and pieces?
They got it. They got it both ways.
Okay, you'll get a lot of stuff that's in bits and pieces on YouTube, and you'll get some in its entirety. But here again, you're being tracked.
You have to go through our people that are putting it on there, not no National Geographic type stuff.
Okay, but see, if they see it, but somebody will be able to see all that though, right?
Yeah.
And they can compile information. The less they know about what you're doing, the better. Prime example, when the Tea Party came out in 2010 with Barack Obama, nobody ever heard of Tea Party. And they went to Washington and destroyed it. They put people out of office everywhere. They ran folks out of the Senate. They put people in place. Same thing with the House of Representatives.
LBGTQ.
Yep, and that, my friend got Rashawn calling me. But guess what? They got power.
Oh yeah.
Got power. And one more thing I'd like for all of you to do, and I'll tell you why. Join the NAACP. Here's why. I don't agree with a lot of stuff that they do, but I agree with a lot of stuff that they do. But if you ever got problems and you direct on what you're doing and something happens, they got money and they got lawyers, and they will defend us. They can defend us. And I'm saying us because I'm included, okay? So joining is $30, $35 a year. They meet on the third Thursday here. I think they meet at Western Chapel. And guess here again, same thing with the Democratic Party. Get involved, go to the Democratic Party meetings. It's the first Monday, first Saturday of the month. Go listen to what they're saying, write down everything, and guess what? Okay, we can do this.